Monday morning, second hour, we call it Motivation Monday. We bring you interesting conversations and we hang out with people who, tell us about their lives, what they're doing to give back to the community, things they have overcome in their lives. And so here we are. Today we want to talk about servanthood. And we are talking about the seed of servanthood. I have an amazing guest joining me in studio this morning. This is the founder and president of Africa Servant Leadership Development Initiative, Aslead. Peter Mulinge is with us in studio. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm very fine. Karibu sana.
Asante.
It's good to have you.
It's nice to meet again.
Servant leadership is a very interesting topic.
Sure, yes.
And not many people actually talk about it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Probably, I don't know why, but it is the essence of leadership.
It is actually the essence of leadership.
Yes.
Before we even get into all that, I'm just curious, how did you get into all this? You're very passionate about leadership and specifically servant leadership. Has this always been your life, or is it something that just grew up on you?
Oh, thank you for asking that question. I think for me, this is something that after thinking and after doing a lot of studies and retracting back my life, I realized that I learned it from my home.
Oh, growing up?
Yes, when I was growing up.
Okay.
You know, growing up in a family of 9 kids is not easy.
I know. We also 9.
And especially when your dad is outside there working and you have your mother only there. It's not easy.
Okay.
And growing up in a Christian family, one of the things that my mom instilled, a discipline that she instilled in us, don't regard yourself better than the other.
Oh.
We grew knowing that.
Okay. Did you grow up in the city? Did you grow up in the...
I grew up in the village till I was done with my primary education.
Okay.
Then secondary education, I came to the city to live with my dad. But I want to say my formative years of becoming and learning about servant leadership is when I was in my young age. Because I remember at the age of 13 years, there was this pastor who came to preach to plant a church in our area.
Yes.
An AIC pastor. And because my mom was known as a Christian lady, she invited him to come and stay with us for a while. And after that, the pastor had to relocate to his house near the church.
Yeah.
So my mom called me and they told me, Peter, go stay with the pastor, serve him, make sure that you make the house clean, you wash his clothes, you make him food, and make sure that he is taken care of at the age of 13.
At the age of 13?
13.
And you did that?
And I did that from class 5 up to standard 7. I stayed with that pastor. I served him.
Stayed with him in his house?
In his house. I would go home on Saturdays, Friday. No, actually, I would go home on Friday night, work in the farm on Saturday. The same Saturday night, I come back to his home, to his house, to make sure that he is prepared for Sunday. So I served my pastor for close to 3 years, till I went to high school.
You know, I'm thinking about what you're saying, and I'm thinking about it in today's context. And I'm thinking that would be considered abuse. That would not even be possible. Because now, speaking as a pastor, it's even hard to find people to serve in church.
Yes.
Not to serve in church every day, just on Sunday. Help us with ushering. Help us with arranging the place. Help us with doing this. People are thinking, no, you're exploiting me. So I'm just imagining for you at that tender age. And this came from your mother.
Yes.
No wonder.
Yes, then actually it was a great joy for me. And let me
Wow.
tell you, other boys whom we grew up, they really loved, they would really seek, actually some of them would come and they stay there with me because we wanted to serve the pastor. We made sure that his clothes are ironed, his shoes were polished, everything that he wanted to be done.
You did.
We did it. And the man, we never asked for any reward. It was a great joy for us to serve our pastor. And not even our pastor, our church.
What kind of a man would you say this pastor was?
I think he is a godly man. Today, he just retired just a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And he is in 95 years.
Wow.
And still I serve him, even today.
Even today?
I serve him.
Okay.
I make sure that every end of the month, I give him something. And for me, serving him.
If somebody would ask you why do you do that? Why is that even necessary? What would you tell them?
I think for me, it's in me. You are not the first question. I've been asked this question in meetings abroad, and the people ask me, why do you do it? And I say, I do not know. It's something that is in me. You know, when we talk about servant leadership, it is not something that we are forced to do.
Exactly.
It comes from within. It is who you are. It is who you are. I have one of my brother, I love him, my brother. He is a senior guy in a corporate world. But immediately that guy leaves the office.
Yes.
And he comes and he finds us. That guy, you'll find him just when he sees an opportunity, he seizes that opportunity to do. Actually, this is the guy we started calling him is a servant leader. Because for him, he doesn't sit down. And actually, that is in me, that sometimes I feel this is what I should do, and that this is what I'm created to do. One of the scripture that transformed my life is Ephesians 2:10. For God created us in Christ Jesus for good works. The works that he foreordained before us. So when I read that scripture and I internalized it and I started thinking about it, I realized that, man, I was created for good works. In Christ Jesus.
Christ Jesus.
And what are these works that Christ did?
Yeah.
Service to other people.
Very true.
He gave himself to other people.
To other people.
And let me tell you, this is what I saw with this pastor. We were in a virgin land where people were migrating from. So we were, my parents came from the developed place, Machakos town, and they went to live in one of underdeveloped place, even today, Yatta.
Yatta.
And there were no transport, there was nothing at all. And think about that pastor, sacrifice, living from, he was a church in Machakos town. He was a pastor in Machakos town. And at those time, 1970s, for him to come there and live there and leave his family back, and they come and invest and they give his life to us, it was a big sacrifice.
It's a big sacrifice.
For me, he's a model of a servant leader.
So when you look back at those foundational years, especially this period of time you served this man of God, how would you say that impacted your life?
It changed me completely. You see, it made me actually be who I am today. Let me tell you, even today I sit back and I see some of my most precious moments of serving was when I served a man of God. It really changed my life. One of the things that I learned from that pastor, to preach and to plant churches.
Wow.
And to serve other people. That's what I learned from him. And I remember him telling me that, Peter, come on. One day it was on a Friday. I was to go home and stay on Saturday. And he told me that, know that on Sunday you are going to preach.
Ooh.
And I asked him, no, Pastor, I can't preach. You are going to preach. I'm going to sit down. And tomorrow, go and prepare. Tomorrow night,
Yes.
come. And then we go over your message. Let me tell you, I didn't want, was fearful to death that I was going to preach that Sunday. And I thought it was a joke. And then on Sunday, he told, show me your message.
Wow.
How I had written it. And then I showed him, and then this one, don't say this, don't say this,
Yes.
don't say this. And then don't spend too much talking about yourself. Talk about God. And then let me tell you, that is a discipline I learned from him. I make sure that by Saturday my messages are ready.
Wow. You know, somebody once said that when you serve people, they give you access to their lives.
Yes.
And I think that's something, especially a good number of people in this generation have failed to understand. Because listening to your story, by virtue of you serving this man of God, he gave you access to his life and access to his ministry. I mean, here he is giving you an opportunity to speak to the congregation and preach to them. That's amazing.
Yes. Let me say this. You cannot be served unless you served. You've got to serve so that you can be served. And one of the things that people crave to, they need to be served, but they don't want to serve.
They don't want to serve. Yes. Yes.
That is how it all begins.
Oh, yes.
If you want to be served, serve. And the moment will come for you to be served. Don't go, and that is what servant leadership is all
It's
about.
all about. You know, you've reminded me of a testimony I had a man of God say just over this weekend. And he was saying how his life was messed up. He was into drugs and many things. And then he was saved before, but he had walked away from God. And he said his journey coming back to God, he went to church. And that Sunday, the pastor announced that that week they would have cleaning. They were doing cleaning, general cleaning of the church. And so he decided, let me just plug in and be a part of this. And he said, the thing that changed my life is when I went Monday morning, we were painting the church, and the pastor was next to me. This is a pastor who lives in a nice house. He has a beautiful family. He drives a good car. But here he was in overalls with paint next to me. He was not just telling us to do the work. He was doing the work with us. He says, that changed my life. He says, I've never left that church. Now I'm the pastor of that church.
Wow.
But that's how it began. I met a man of God who was willing to serve people and not just to be served. And that changed his life.
You see, Jeff, when you serve, you get satisfaction in life. I think for me, me, when I serve, I get satisfaction. I find who I am. I discover myself, who I am. And I remember when I went to the US and I was looking for a job because I was green in the US.
Yes.
And then here I am in school. I needed to make some money. And I go to this church and I said that I'm going to ask you for a job. The pastor knew me. We were friends with him. But I went and then I told him, I need a job in this church. What can I do? And then they looked at me and they said, I met with the elders and I told the elders, I needed a job. I need to make some extra coin. And then they told me that, nah, you are doing masters. in theological, in biblical studies. You are being trained as a pastor. We don't have a job for you here. The only job we have that the person left for a better job was to be a janitor. A janitor, I think, is the guy who takes care of the washrooms, cleans them, make them, and then makes sure that the washrooms are clean before and after they are used. And then they said, but we can't give you that. You don't qualify for that. And I told them, that is the job I need. I can do that. And they kind of resisted, but I said, yes. I went again and I told them, yes. Because I had preached in the church. They had loved me. I had become a member in that church. But I wasn't a pastor. You know, there was a sitting pastor. So I said that I want that job. I'm going to do it. And they reluctantly gave it to me.
Yes.
And actually they said, no, we can't pay you the way we were paying the other one because we feel like, no, this doesn't. So they gave me some few dollars ahead, above what they were giving the other guy. And let me tell you, I did that job for 8 months.
Wow.
I did it.
8 months.
Cleaning all those toilets, making sure that they are clean, arranging all the paper towel, even for both the ladies and guys.
And you are doing your master's?
And I was doing my master's. Westminster Theological Seminary, which was known. And then a time came, the pastor left the church. And then they started looking for somebody else. Two times, there was they would invite people, some preachers to come and preach. Then the third one said, why should we pay somebody? Because, you know, when you're invited, it's a check. You're given a check.
You're given a check, yes.
Even before the preaching.
Ooh.
Immediately you come in, you are given that check. So why should we invite somebody to come and feel, well, Peter is here. So they asked me to preach. I preached. One guy got saved. And then he said, okay, let's him continue again. So after looking for pastor, searching for a pastor for quite a time, they couldn't get one. Then they approached me. They said, why are we looking for a pastor? And Peter is being trained as a pastor. He has been preaching to us. A soul has come to Christ. And in 3 years, we have had a baptism because that church believes in baptism. Why should we look for somebody else? Let's get him. So they interviewed me. I went through the interview, and I assumed the position of a pastor in that church.
Let me ask you.
And then they asked me to look for somebody else. We couldn't get somebody sooner. I continued doing that.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Until we got.
So you are the pastor preaching?
Yes.
But you still continue to do the janitor work?
Yes.
What did people say? I'm just wondering. So when you are having conversations with the congregants, what are they saying about these two roles? Because they seem so opposite of each other.
No, I think they really actually do know that when I was doing it. Actually, some people say, no, pastor cannot.
Pastor cannot
do that. I will be doing it. So what happened? We ended not employing somebody. Now the members got involved. That is what servant leadership is about.
Yes.
Lead as an example. Get involved. Then when people see,
even them, they
will come in and they will never complain. So that is what our Lord Jesus did. He did it. That's why Peter would say, no. Don't, you can't do it.
You can't do it.
I was my professor was a Jew. And he told, when Peter said it, he actually went, it's not recorded in the Bible, and he said it's not. when he said, no, you can't do it, in Jewish culture, they would say, go and get it, sit down, I'm going to do it.
The Seeds of Servanthood. We're hanging out with Dr. Peter Mulinge, founder and president of Africa Servant Leadership Development Institute. Questions, thoughts on 20316 for SMS and WhatsApp 0786 316 316. I have a message from Yemen. Caroline in Yemen. She says, formerly tutor at Premise Institute. Caroline amekusalimia. Anasema, great to listen to Dr. Peter Mulinge, committed servant of God. All the way from Yemen. Wow, that's good. John Gidanga, you say servant leadership is quite fulfilling. Hands-on service without an underlying motive is a good thing. And adheres you to people from all walks of life. Jesus himself demonstrated this when he washed his disciples' feet. Servant leadership is indeed a springboard to greatness. Thank you very much. Another message here is from Kituto. You said you're tuned in from Kiserian and you are saying hi to Dr. Peter Mulinge. Asante sana. Keep the messages flowing. I'm curious, Dr. Mulinge, when you've talked about primary and serving this pastor, I'm assuming when you went to secondary school, you went to a boarding school, or was it still a day school? And how did it change? Did you continue serving the pastor even in secondary school, or how did going to secondary school now change?
When I came to Nairobi, I joined a day school here in Nairobi.
Okay.
But during vacations, I would go back and we continue serving with that pastor.
Okay.
And you know, we were longing for that time, not even to serve the pastor, but to serve in the church. Because there are so many things that we did. We would make the bricks just to build the church. So every vacation, it was like, when will it come?
So that you go
that
back.
we can go back.
Yes.
And meet with other guys who went to high school, different places, and then we continue serving. And that pastor really impacted our life. He transformed our life, and he's a great man. He's a great servant leader I look into and I say, this man was God sent to us to help me understand about serving other people. And I want to say that also my mom played a critical part in me, because you can imagine telling us that make sure that you don't regard yourself better than the others. And this is the thing that we grew up knowing in a family. And for me, actually, even some of the classes that I teach, and people will tell you, I look for opportunity to serve them. I find myself, you know, servant leadership, you are not forced to do. When it gets in you, you become. You become. And it's when you become, then you find yourself flowing. There is no struggle. You don't feel any heaviness. You don't feel as if you are struggling. It is something that gives one joy in life. And I want to say this. If I were asked, the joy of life comes when we serve other people.
Very true. I agree with you. I agree with you.
You cannot find the joy when you are serving yourself. Or when you are serving your own interest. And why we have lost it, and why leadership has become the way it is today, why many people don't want to go into, especially, you know, leadership has been, people actually, when you say that you are a leader, especially when you say that you are a leader in the church, or maybe when you say that I am a politician, a leader, people, they don't take you serious, because they know it has been messed up, man. It has been messed up. You know, because what kind of a leader are you looking? What kind of a pastor leader are you? And that's why you see there is a name that you can shout in the street and the people look. Because they don't see. They don't see leadership in you. They don't see a servant pastor in you.
They see somebody who's coming to take advantage of them.
Over us. They don't see a servant politician in you. They don't see a servant CEO in you. They don't see a servant, a teacher, professor
Yeah.
in you. I teach colleges.
Yes.
And sometimes I had to drop classes, and I remember sometimes people say, no, I want him. We want him. We want a petition to the administration. I don't want to say it's, but look, even before you minister to that, serve that person first. Let that relationship of servanthood be established.
I love what you've said, because sometimes we also just think about serving in the context of the church.
Yes.
But it's broader than that.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Even in your family. When was the last time you served your wife? And I'm not talking about you, Jemo.
She's listening. Maybe she can answer us.
When was the last time that you served your children? When was the last time that you served even your mother and your parent?
Yeah.
When was the last time that you served somebody in your neighborhood? You see, when was the last time that you served that waiter in that hotel?
Ooh.
And do you know, serving is just looking at that person and telling, thank you for serving me so nicely today. What do you think goes into the life and to the mind of that person?
When you say simple words.
Simple words. But because of the spirit of entitlement,
Yeah.
that we feel, this is mine, this is who I am called of God, I am the big guy in this church. Nikikoa, everyone has to do. That kind of entitlement robs you the joy of serving and the joy of leadership. We can find joy in leading when we serve and when we give ourselves. At any position, you could be a CEO.
Yeah.
There is an opportunity to serve.
Yeah.
You could be the president. You have an opportunity to serve.
Yeah.
A cabinet minister, a chief of general staff. Any position that you find yourself into, God has blessed you to serve his people, to serve humanity.
Would you say, because when we began this conversation, you talked about growing up in a family of 9. Would you say all your siblings have also embraced a lifestyle of just service to others? Or is it just you?
I want to say it's not me. I can see it. I can see it in most of my siblings.
Okay.
I can see it. And it's a great joy sometimes when we go home as a family. We are having a family meetings. Sometimes we say that you know when you reach a certain stage in life and God blesses you. Sometimes you say we don't want this, but I see sometimes we do, especially when we meet and we are doing some family meetings.
Yeah.
Sometimes we say we don't want to hire somebody to come and cook for us. We are going to roll our sleeves
and get
make
to work.
Anyone who is good in cooking chapatis, they take it. Who is good in doing this, they take it. And then we find ourselves serving one another. So it is there. It is there.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you have a specific member of the family? In our family, my younger sister, the one who immediately follows me, she is the one who has that heart. Truly, it's just there. That even when we have family gatherings, she will be the one to eat last.
Yes.
Because she will make sure everybody has eaten. She will make sure the children have eaten. She will make sure everything has everything they need. Until at times we wonder, now how jakula? No, you sit down and eat. Do you have?
Yes, I have my brother and my sister. Man, those people, I mentioned my brother.
Yes, you mentioned your brother.
My brother is a pastor right now, and he's a big guy in the corporate world.
Yes.
But that guy, even if he comes to the church,
yes,
you'll find him just going to serve.
Wow.
And my sister also, she is the last one to eat. You know, when she got married, it's like we were praying for her to get married. But that day of her to go,
yes,
we felt that we have lost somebody. And even today when she comes, you know, we say things are going to be okay. So it's there, and we grew up, and we grew up actually helping one another in our family.
That's good.
Because I think that is the discipline. And
Yes.
then let me say this. I always, when I teach in classes, because we have some classes that we talk about family.
Yeah.
The best place to start teaching servant leadership is at home.
Is at home.
But do you know what? We are living in a generation that actually parents, they don't assign their children duties to work. If you grew during my time, everyone had
Everyone
a
had
responsibility,
yes.
a duty.
Yes.
When you wake up in the morning, you knew there was something to do. But we have this generation that actually, we don't assign the responsibilities to our children.
Yeah.
Actually, we don't train them how to serve.
We hire somebody to do everything.
We
for them.
hire somebody to do everything.
Yeah.
So I think the best place where parents should start instilling servanthood is in the family.
Is in the family. I have a question here from Omalwa. Omalwa, how are you doing? It's good to hear from you. Say, good morning, Pasi. Welcome back. Asante Sana. Say, I don't think I have ever heard of anyone who started serving from such a young age and successfully transitioned to adult servanthood and still not expect anything in return. These are real leaders who we actually need. In this time and age period, people serve with hidden motives, and that's why we are always in trouble. Ask Daktari, how does he manage not to expect anything in return? How do you just serve for the sake of serving and not expect anything in return?
One of the things that let me go back to the pastor,
Yes.
to the church that I was employed. One of the biggest debate that we had when I passed the interview, how much are we going to pay
you?
And man, me, I come from Africa,
Yes.
where I knew pastors were not on salary. Me, I knew that because here I see growing, here I see,
Yeah.
and then coming to Redeemed Gospel Church, the churches that I went to plant, I was not expecting any pay. So when these guys asked me how much, I said no, just decide whatever. Are you employing me because I thought a pastor should not be employed?
Yeah.
That's what, and I grew up knowing that. So when I wrestled with that question until it reached a point they told me it's a government requirement. This is USA. It's a government requirement that we give you a salary, and a salary that in future you never say we underpaid you. So you've got to append to the salary that you want.
Yeah.
And just because of that, I appended the salary. But I wasn't looking for it. And then the other time, even when I was serving there, I went to the street. And they were homeless people. I started serving them. Let me say this, and I want people to listen to this. I went to serve in Southern Sudan when they had not gotten independent.
Yeah.
When there were still rebels in the bushes. And God used me there in a mighty way. John Garag heard about it, and then I had an opportunity to meet with him in his office in Lavington. And after we discussed, and John Garang told me, thank you for what you've done to our country, and thank you for those people you baptized, and the rebels who got baptized, and you prayed for us. And at the end of the day, John Garang said this, Peter, we can't pay you enough, but your reward is ahead. For me, I always say those were a prophetic words, John Garang to me.
Yeah.
And I left that office knowing that my reward is ahead. Let me serve.
Yes.
My reward is ahead. And I'm telling you, since I left the Southern Sudan, rewards started coming.
Wow.
Some of them I don't ask. Some of them came seeking for my door.
Wow.
So how do I serve and not looking for the motivation? Why are you serving? Are you serving a need in somebody's life? Or are you motivated by your own need?
Imagine our time is up.
You serious?
Yes. But don't fret, because Dr. will be back again on Friday. On Friday, I'm having him back again because we've barely scratched the surface. And Friday we'll dig deeper into servant leadership. What is it about, and how does one get to be a servant leadership? And he'll also talk to us about some of the things that he's doing. So make sure you tune in this Friday on Mindshift Friday. Dr. will be back with us. My time is up for today. Thank you for hanging out with us. I hope you've been able to receive something. Remember, serve, serve, serve. Don't expect anything in return. Malipo ni huko mbele.
Your reward is ahead.
It is ahead.
Yeah.
Have a great day. God bless you.